Welcome back, guys. We are now in Paladin in this Lightforged Arena tier list evaluation podcast stream VOD on YouTube. So we're now in Paladin. This is the last of the good guys. We did Druid, Hunter, Mage. They're good. Paladins are good too. And then we're gonna switch over to the bad guys. Bad guys get less cards. That's what we learn
Which
in
is
this
great.
expansion.
We need to move. So, we're talking about paladins. I think people are pretty sick of paladins by now, but let's check out what paladins are getting in this expansion. We're going with the top card. I told everyone, I'm like, I think you will be surprised. I'm looking at the chat right now. I'm going to say who is correct. Agent W is correct. Not a huge surprise because Agent W is an amazing arena player. The top card for Paladin is a 176 score Sanctuary. 2 mana epic spell side quest. Best side quest in the game, by the way.
By
Take
far.
no damage for a turn. Reward. Summon a 3/6 minion with taunt. I hope you guys see why this is crazy good. This is below True Silver Champion and Consecration, but not by that much. It is tied with Seal of Champions. Ado, to explain why it is as good as those cards.
So you go first, right? You don't do anything because you like totally whiffed as a paladin. You should have played a 1-drop, but you just don't have it. Then it's their turn, and they don't coin a 2-drop out because they're gonna coin 3s, or they only have 1 2-drop or whatever. And then you play your sanctuary, and then they lose the game.
Yeah, that's kind of
That's kind of how that goes. And that'll be like a quarter of your games with Sanctuary. And then another like half of your games, they'll have to do really awkward stuff to hit you in the face and not be able to get trades that they want, or like start like throwing their weapons into your face when they don't want to and waste a charge, and just to like delay your guy. It doesn't even kill your 3/6, just delays it an extra turn. And then a quarter of the time, you're gonna be so behind when you play this, and it's not gonna matter, and it's gonna be like a totally dead card, and you would never play this. So that's pretty good overall.
That's pretty good. And even when they have like one thing on the board and you're a little bit behind, the fact that you box them in, cards that box opponents in are so powerful. Like, think about Super Collider. Why is it so powerful? It's not just because of the effect, it's because you box them in. Like,
You
prevent
remove
them.
their choice.
Yeah, you remove their choice of doing something, or you say, okay, you can do it, but there's a huge punishment for doing this thing that you want to do. People actively want to diversify their board in Arena. That's why Super Collider is so good. People actively want to trade into your stuff, especially with Paladins, and that's why Sanctuary is so good. If you are super duper duper behind, this sucks. It's a dead card, along with 99% of the cards in the game.
Especially as Paladin. Like, if you're super
Especially as
duper
Paladin.
behind and you're a Paladin, nothing's gonna get you back short of Yadric.
Yeah, basically. So that's why this card is absolutely insane. It also has a huge effect, like on turn 1/turn 2, which is stupid. Okay, Paladins did not need that sort of an advantage in the early game.
3/6 minion with taunt. That's like a 4.5 mana minion for 2 mana on a 1 turn delay potentially.
It's not fair. Them getting this is like really dumb, especially in a meta in which we talked about, where you want to be the first person to Faceless Corruptor. You want to be the first person to be able to dictate trades for your Twin Tyrant. So, what better way than getting a 2 mana 3/6 taunt? Pretty good.
This is a bad designed card.
I hate this.
Bad design card.
I hate, look, any card in which, depending on if you're facing a paladin with a coin, or depending on whether they play this on turn 2, it swinging the game by like, I don't know, like 75% win rate just based on that. That's stupid.
It's terrible.
You can't have that. And that's exactly what this card does. So, no.
Bad
please.
Blizzard. Bad. Also, like
It's
Embiggen, like bad Blizzard, bad.
and Biggin is not like bad design. So like, for example, we talked about something like Primordial Explorer in Hunters,
Mm-hmm.
in which overall the score of Primordial Explorer is higher,
Mm-hmm.
but the swings that you get with a card like Sanctuary is much
Yeah.
higher. So yeah, Sanctuary worse.
Okay.
Okay.
On the bright side, it's an epic card, so you're not actually going to see it like that often. People are like, "Oh, so always coin on turn two against on turn one against Paladin." Not any. I wouldn't consider the potential of this card being played when you're playing against Paladin. Like, if you can have decent tempo by using the coin early, definitely do it. But that's a general rule against Paladin. This card doesn't swing it really.
Yep.
Because yeah, like this, it's you're not going to see it often enough for it to like really enter your mind as a preventative play.
Which almost makes me feel worse when it does happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, why me? Why did they have this card, and why did they get it on turn one or two?
I know, I know. So it's one of those things in which it's good that it's rare, but it'll just make it feel worse when it does happen. So there you go, guys.
All right. Next up is 166. This is the worst explorer in the game. It is a bronze explorer at 166, which is the same as a twin tyrant.
Oh god.
A little below Seal of Champs, better than an Aldor. This is just where we're at. It's a 3 mana 2/3 lifesteal dragon. Battlecry, discover a dragon. So paladins are going to gain a lot of health in this expansion. You're going to see another dragon that heals later on.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because if you look at it, you are just like, ew, this is like so much worse than the other ones.
Yeah. The other ones are all like hanging out at 180 at 200. This guy's at 166. And it's lifesteal too, so it's anti-temple. It's like a late game 166.
I know. It's not. I mean, lifesteal is relevant. Face
And
damage has
it like
become. Yeah.
Yeah, like because there's so little heals, like the fact that Paladin has so much of it is like very swinging. Like it'll just win you games with people who rely on you not having the heals.
Yeah. So it's still really, really good. But it's just funny because all of the explorers are game-breakingly good, and this is just okay. All right, that's Bronze Explorer. Next, we have at 160 Sand Breath. Sand Breath is a 1-mana common spell. Give a minion +1/+2 Divine Strength.
Hey, we saw that card before.
We saw that card before. Give it Divine Shield if you're holding a dragon. So Divine Strength is good. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, it's not good. It's okay.
Yeah. Giving it Divine Shield, that's stupid. It's like
that's 2 1-mana cards together. Because giving it Divine Shield is Hand of Protection. 1/2 is Divine Strength. You just like get a bonus double of whatever the hell you're doing if you're holding a dragon. Which you'll see later is kind of a theme with these breath cards. So, whatever. It's great. It's a 160. It's a little below a Twin Tyrant. A little above an Outdoor Peacekeeper.
Right. So, I see. I think one of the things people will be curious about, because I see someone in chat talking about this already, is sort of like, wait, out of 10 merps, I thought there weren't that many dragons. And no, there aren't. But if you look at a 1-mana 1/2, give it Divine Shield, you're talking about like a super Seal of Champs, right? This is 1 mana, guys. It's 1 mana. You're talking about something really, really ridiculously good, like best Paladin card in the game, good. So you average those out. It's like, no, you won't hit it that often, and sometimes you might have to use it, but when you do hit with it, it's like game breaking.
Yeah, also remember, these are not mechs, these are dragons. You just have to have one in your hand.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's much easier to trigger even if you don't get the dragon. Like, basically, when you get a dragon, hold on to it. Like, if you have these kinds of cards that use your dragon. Because you're not going to get another one like that quickly. But it's not like mechs where to trigger a synergy, you got to put it on the board, hope it survives the turn, all that stuff.
Yep.
All right. Next, we have Amber Watcher. This is the dragon that some people thought was going to be the best Paladin card. It's not that good. It's good.
It's just really good.
It's a 5 mana 4/6 dragon. So, decent curve, not great curve. 5 mana 4/6s are not worth that much. You're missing a stat. Battlecry, restore 8 health. Okay. So it's like the buffed up version of like a Earthen Ring Farseer or a Shroom Brewer, right?
Yeah. So the score is 132, which, guys, is still really good, okay?
It's Dark Iron Dwarf.
It's Dark Iron Dwarf. It's Mashog Announcer good. It's Keening Banshee good. It's because we're talking about so many cards. They're 200, 180, still really good. So the thing I would like to point out with this is, number one, you're giving up one stat, and number two, the 8 health is over. I can't say overkill. It's overheal so many times.
Mm-hmm.
So many times. On average, you're probably healing like 3.5 ish. You're not healing for that much, and that's why it is where it's at. It's premium. It's just not like super duper premium.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay. Let's look at the next card, which goes down a lot. I think there's a big gap here, because Amber Watcher's still pretty damn good. And then Paladins don't have any, like, okay cards. The next one is Righteous Cause. This is a 94. It's a little below the average cards you're offered. It's around where a Jungle Panther's at. It's not going to kill your deck or anything, but it's not that good. It's a 1 mana side quest. Summon 5 minions is what you need to do. And if you do that, you get a reward, which is give your minions +1/+1. The reward may seem really good, but it's not. Let me explain. You're thinking about this card, and you're like, this is like Mark of the Lotus on a delay. And Mark of the Lotus is really, really, really good. And summoning 5 minions may take a couple turns, but you're still going to get that big swing. You're not. Because you're going to have to play minions in this game, regardless of when you play them. And this card will just trigger at some point and give you like a little bit of a buff. Because you can't ensure that there's a lot of cards on the board when you play your 5th minion. This is not, after you play 5 minions, give your minions +1/+1 at the end of your turn. So from how you're probably thinking about it, you're actually missing like at least 1 +1/+1, if not more than that. And you also don't get to control which turn you have it, so you may not have like a board of other stuff. And none of your minions have like initiative.
Yeah. That's basically it.
Well, that's not true. Some of your minions do have initiative if they already do, but you can't control which ones they do because it's just whenever you play your 5th minion.
Yep.
Okay, so it's 94. It's not like that bad. It's better than the ones that like summon a random minion from your deck or something because you're much more in control of it. It's not like as RNG. But yeah.
All right. What's the next one?
The next one is a Skyclaw. This is a 90. We're down in the Murloc War Leader area.
Really? It's this low? I thought it would be higher.
It's pretty low. And
wow, I'm surprised by this.
Yeah, it's low because this is a 3 mana 1/2 mech. Your other mechs have +1 attack. Battlecry summon 2 1/1 microcopters, which are mechs.
Yeah.
So if you don't if your opponent has anything on the board at all, this is basically 3 1/1s, which is very bad. Also, you have almost no other mechs in this game at this point. Like the number of mechs you'll see is like less than 1 in your deck, other than this card.
So what was Desert Hair?
Oh, Desert Hair is terrible. I don't know I don't think it's in this meta right now, but
yeah, that's basically sort of. But if they don't, okay.
And if you get the upside to it, then you get 2 2/1s basically that you have to use near immediately, and a 1/2. It doesn't buff itself. So it's weak most of the time. Like most of the time, it's just the Desert Hair, and then maybe a quarter of the time, you get some value out of it.
Okay, I can kind of see that.
It's pretty unstable kind of like 3-drop.
All right. Chat is disagreeing with us heavily here. I think it would be a little bit higher, but it's not like that much higher. So that's something that I am surprised at, but I understand.
All right. So next is Lightforged Crusader.
Okay.
Lightforged Crusader is 87, Ironforged Rifleman area, Mashag Enforcer area, War Golem area, and that's because it is a War Golem. It is an epic card. It is a 7 mana 7/7 Battle Cry. If your deck has no neutral cards, your deck will have neutral cards. Add 5 random Paladin cards to your hand. That will never happen. Of course, there is this combo with this other card that turns all of the neutral cards in your deck into class cards. But that one card combo aside, and that card is an epic card. That one epic neutral card, I might add. That one combo aside, this does nothing.
Yeah. All right. Last card. It is a rare Lightforged Zealot. Lightforged Zealot is a 58 score. It is tied with Eye for an Eye. Yikes, man. 4 mana, 4/2. Battle Cry. If your deck has no neutral cards, same kind of thing. Equip a 4/2 True Silver Champion. True Silver Champion is a 195. So to get a 4/2 on top of a True Silver Champion, we're talking about, I don't know, like a 300 bazillion rated card. It just never happens. It just never ever happens.
But in all seriousness, how is this not broken in like Constructed? Or you can just not put neutral cards in your deck?
Because Constructed is broken?
Because like neutral cards aren't good.
Kind of, yeah, I don't know, because Constructed is sort of just broken. It's like one broken thing facing another broken thing, and you see what's more broken, right? That's it. That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just it.
Let's go to Legendary. That's Paladins.
Yeah.
You got 2 decent legendaries. One is 145 rated. It's Nozdormu the Timeless. It's a little lower than a Lich King. It's the same as a Tyrion, so it's pretty good. I don't know what people think about this card normally, but
I think
we think it's pretty good.
People will be surprised on how high it is, but I totally agree with this rating.
Yeah, it's a 4 mana 8/8 dragon, so that's pretty good. And then Battle Cry, set each player to 10 mana crystals. That means your opponent gets the mana crystals before you, because they're not full mana crystals, they're empty mana crystals. So if you play it on turn 4, you've just ramped your opponent like 6. I mean, you ramped yourself 6 the next turn too, but your opponent gets those manas first. But it's still a 4 mana 8/8. And later on in the game, if your opponent already, you already have all the mana crystals or most of them, then it's just a 4 mana 8/8. So
yeah,
the algorithm knows when to play these cards, so it takes all this into account, and it's actually playing this card as fast as possible. So it views the downside of having your opponent get access to those mana crystals first before you as not as much of a downside as the additional tempo that you get for this being a 4 mana 8/8.
Yeah. So think about it this way. How much are you paying for an 8/8 most of the time? It's like 7.5 mana-ish, right? So even if you play this turn 4, which you won't sometimes, most of the time, actually. When I say sometimes, I mean most of the time. You're not playing this on turn 4. You're not, even if you play on turn 4, you're not down that much. Like,
yeah, you're already getting 3.5 mana back. Your opponent was going to get, like, let's say 5 mana the next turn anyway, and instead gets 5 more. So you get 3.5 mana now. Your opponent gets 5 mana the next turn. You get 5 mana the turn after that, right? Like,
right. So I think that's important for people to figure out. It's like, okay, what's my opponent actually gaining? They don't gain 10 mana on you. They gain 5 mana on you. Quote, gain.
Yeah,
but what
like
is the
a
net
turn
there? I think a lot of people look at it and they're like, "Oh, wait, you're giving your opponent 10 mana. You're going down 10 mana." No. this might surprise you guys, the opponent was going to start at 5 mana the next turn anyways. Mind blown.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? So if they were going to start at that, they now end up at 10. You look at what you have gained, and suddenly you're like, "Whoa, wow, they're actually not gaining that much." Now, it's not, you know, it's not 200 because of the fact that, ramping them up, you never know what they can do. You like predictability. This introduces unpredictability, which is bad. But even if you play a turn 4, the exchange is already decent. And if you play it later on as just a 4 mana 8/8, essentially, because the ramp is very negligible, then the net gain, what you have gained, is so freaking good, ridiculously so. And that's why it's a 145.
Okay, next card is Dragon Rider Tauretha. It's a 116. It's a Nexia level. It's a little better than a Yeti. It's a 3 mana 3/3. Death Rattle. Give a dragon in your hand +3/+3. And this Death Rattle. It's not a dragon itself. So you play it. You either hold the dragon in your hand, or you pray that you get a dragon by the time this thing dies. And then it gets +3/+3, which is a nice buff. And it gets that Death Rattle again in case you have another dragon. You're probably not going to have that many dragons chained up. And it's a pretty slow buff, and a 3 mana 3/3 is terrible. But because even though it's a slow buff, it's a decent size buff. Like 116 is really high for a 3 mana 3/3.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that people need to remember. It's like a 3 mana 3/3 is, well, we're giving a lot of, like, the algorithm is giving a lot of credit to this.
Prince Taldarum is basically just a 3 mana 3/3, and that is 81. So
Yikes,
this
wow.
is like 35 points for this ability.
Which, it's really strong when it does hit.
Yeah.
Right? It's really, really strong when it hits. So
it's a free +3/+3, not just in card advantage, but also in tempo whenever you play that dragon, with the potential to chain.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, well, that's Paladin. It's dominating the arena right now. It's going to get... Like, they're not... Like, if you look at all the Paladin cards, they're good. They're not great. Like, they're not as good as Hunter. They're probably around, like, Mage. They're not even as good as Mage. They're probably not even as good as Druid. Like, if you're asking for a set to balance out Paladins, this is kind of it. Like, these are the cards that'll balance out the Paladin by not giving it too much stuff. But the stuff that they do get are all tilting AF. Like, Sanctuary has no counterplay. Sand Breath is some ridiculous buff. Amber Watcher just, like, should not exist. They literally made a card that's basically Amber Watcher in Classic that's, like, 2 manas higher or something like that. They're if we're talking about bad design cards for, like, Embiggen and, like, whatever the Mage, what was the Mage card? I forget. But, like, oh yeah, like, right, Sanctuary. Not the Mage card, it was just Sanctuary. And they're, like, badly designed cards. Like, these are all badly designed cards for swing-wise. I don't know, Amber Watcher may be, like, on the okay side of things, but between Sandbreath and Sanctuary, it's not going to be good. But you're not going to see them too often. There's not that many of these cards. There's not that many super powerful cards for Paladin. So overall, I think Paladin's going to be fine. They're getting back their Classic set, and Classic is very good for Paladin. What they are losing is basically they're not getting Silver Sword back, and they've lost Vine Cleaver. So they've lost that huge thing, and they don't have a Steed either. So they're losing a lot of their late game stuff. In exchange, they get a lot of their mid game stuff. And I think that's a fair trade for Paladin, and you're probably going to see its power level normalize.
We'll see. They do have decent early game though.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what scares me. It's like, because this meta, as we said, is so defined on who gets the snowball starter early, because there's so many cards that take advantage of it. Like, Paladin was naturally good at taking advantage of it, and they have some pretty decent ways to start that off as well. So that's always a tiny bit scary.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
All right, that's it for Paladin. I want to give a shout out to our technical director at the Lightforged Arena tier list, who's algorithming more as we speak to fix some hero power stuff that's not affecting Descent of Dragons cards, but affecting some of our other cards because we did something last minute that like fixed like 1 or 2 legendary cards, and it had follow-on effects that was affecting other stuff. But it's all stuff we should fix, and they all affect like just a very low number of cards, and it has to do with hero power, so it's different for each class. Like this is the stuff that when you're managing this ridiculously complicated algorithm you have to deal with. And just an update. Apparently, we caught a bug that we introduced, or that was always there. I can't figure out which. In our rush and charge minions, where they should all be like 1 or 2 points higher. So not a big bug. Not going to change, and this is not going to make it into the live version. We don't have time to implement it, and it's just 1 or 2 points, so we don't really care that much. But yeah, shout out to our technical director at the Lightforged tier list.
Yeah,
like without this guy, we would not have a tier list. Like, because we're no longer able to go back and like do it by hand after having this algorithm. It's like way too much. Those
are the dark days.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this like everything's on a string. You don't have to worry about like relating everything to everything else. It's just all automatically done. It's so nice.
Truly the dark days, and those are behind us. Okay, that is it. Thank you, guys. Next is going to be Priest. We're going to the evil classes. Ooh, Priest.
See you guys there. Until then, this is Oddwictum.
This is Merps. Bye, guys.